I wasn't supposed to be on that road. That's the first truth, the cleanest one. It was late enough that the world had gone hollow, past midnight, past reason, past the hour when even gas stations feel like they're holding their breath. I've left too late, stayed too long, told myself I could make it home if I just kept moving. The highway was empty in the way emptiness feels intentional. No cars, no distant beams, just my headlights carving two pale tunnels through the dark. Rain had started somewhere behind me, catching up slowly, turning the asphalt into a black mirror. Every reflective sign looked like a warning it couldn't read fast enough. I remembered thinking how the road didn't feel like a road anymore. It felt like a corridor, the kind you walk down in a dream, knowing something is behind the next bend. I turned the radio on for noise. Static. I tapped it, tried another station. A voice flickered for half a second, too warped to understand, then vanished back into the hiss. The silence that followed felt heavier than before, like the car itself didn't want distractions. I drove with both hands tight on the wheel, shoulders tense, eyes fixed ahead. That's when I saw her. At first, I thought it was a trick of rain, a smear of light, a roadside sign half hidden by fog. Then the headlights caught the shape properly. A person, standing on the shoulder, no umbrella, no coat, just a slim figure in a pale dress, hair dark against the wet night. She wasn't waving, she wasn't moving, she was simply there. My foot eased off the gas without me deciding to. The car slowed, and in that moment, every instinct in my body spoke at once. Don't stop. Keep going. People don't stand like that at this hour. But another voice, quieter, human, stupid, answered back. What if she needs help? The rain thickened, drumming against the windshield. The wipers squealed, struggling to keep up. I passed her by a few yards before I realized she'd turned her head. Not quickly, not dramatically, just enough. And even though the blur of water and glass, I felt it. She was watching the car like she already knew it. I drove another 100 feet. My hands were shaking. I told myself to keep going. Then I saw the road ahead. Nothing but darkness, stretching forever. And something about leaving her there felt wrong in a way I couldn't explain. Like the road itself had presented her. Like this was a moment I was expected to answer. I pulled over. The tires hissed on wet gravel. The car idled, a small, pathetic sound in the vast night. For a second I just sat there, staring through the windshield, heart pounding. She was behind me now, in the rearview mirror, standing perfectly still. The rain didn't seem to touch her the way it touched everything else. I lowered the passenger window halfway. Cold air poured in. Are you all right? I called, my voice too loud, too thin. She didn't answer right away. Then she began to walk toward the car, slow, measured, no hurry. Each step placed carefully like she was remembering how. When she reached the window, I saw her face, pale, not sickly, not bruised, just drained of warmth. Her eyes lifted to mine and something in my stomach dropped. Not fear yet, recognition. The kind you feel when you realize you've stepped into something that started long before you arrived. My car, she said softly. Her voice was quiet, almost swallowed by the rain. It broke down. I glanced up and down the road. No hazard lights, no vehicle, no sign of anything. Where? I asked. She turned her head slightly, pointing back into the darkness, just up ahead. Her hand looked strange, not damaged, just wrong in a way I couldn't name, like it belonged to a photograph more than a living body. I swallowed hard. You need a ride? The question left my mouth before my mind could stop it. She stared at me for a long moment, then she nodded, yes. I unlocked the door. The click sounded impossibly loud. She opened it without hesitation and slid into the passenger seat. The cold came with her, not metaphorical, real. The temperature dropped so fast my breath fogged the inside of the windshield. She sat with her hands folded in her lap, dress damp at the edges, hair hanging dark and heavy. I didn't know what to say, so I did what people do when they're trying to pretend a moment is normal. Where are you headed? I asked. Her head turned slowly toward me, and when she answered, her voice was barely more than breath. Home. Then, after a pause, you won't like where it is. The vipers kept squealing. The rain kept falling, and the road ahead looked longer than it had any right to. I put the car back in gear and drove. For the first few minutes, neither of us spoke. The car felt smaller than it had before, like the space inside it had been altered by her presence. The heater was on, the vents blowing warm air, but it didn't matter. The cold stayed, settled deep in the upholstery, clinging to the glass. My hands were stiff on the wheel. I kept stealing glances at her without meaning to. She sat perfectly still, facing forward, eyes open but unfocused, as if she wasn't watching the road so much as remembering it. Rain traced thin rivers down the passenger window beside her, catching the light in trembling lines. I tried again. What's your name? A pause, long enough that I thought she hadn't heard me. Then softly, Clara. The way she had it didn't sound like an introduction. It sounded like an echo. Where are you from, Clara? I asked, forcing the words out casually, like we were two strangers sharing a normal ride home. Her head turned a fraction. The movement was slow, careful, like turning cost something. Not far, she said. That was all. I nodded as if that made sense. The highway stretched ahead, empty, no headlights behind us, no oncoming traffic, just the wet ribbon of asphalt reflecting my beams back at me. The radio crackled suddenly, a burst of static, sharp enough to make me flinch. Then, just for a second, a voice surfaced through it. Not a song, not a host. A woman's voice, distant, warped. Shouldn't. Then it vanished. Clara didn't react. I turned the radio off completely. Silence rushed in, the kind of silence that feels like someone closing a door. Minutes passed. I told myself she was just scared, just tired. People shut down when they were stranded at night. But there was something else. She didn't shiver. Her wet dress didn't cling the way it should. And the rain, I realized, slowly, that her hair wasn't dripping. It looked damp, yes, but not soaked. As if the weather didn't fully apply to her. I swallowed hard. Your car broke down? I asked carefully. Yes, she said. Did you call anyone? Another pause. Then, no one answers anymore. The words hit the air like a weight. I glanced at her, but her expression didn't change. She said it the way someone might say the sky's dark, fact without emotion. I tightened my grip on the wheel. The road curved gently, taking us deeper into woods that pressed close on both sides. The trees looked black and endless, their branches reaching toward the highway like fingers. I felt the urge to check the mirrors again. In the rear view, the darkness behind us was complete, and I saw something that made my stomach drop. The fog, not thick yet, but forming. Low along the shoulder, crawling in pale threads through the trees, keeping pace with us like it knew where we were going. I blinked hard. The road ahead was clear. The fog behind us was not. I told myself it was just weather, just pockets of mist, but the timing felt wrong. Everything about tonight felt arranged. Clara's voice came again, so quiet I almost missed it. You stopped. It wasn't a question. Yes, I said, throat dry. I didn't want to leave you out there. She turned her head slowly toward me. Her eyes were dark, reflective, unreadable. Most people don't stop anymore. The way she said it made my skin prickle. Why not? I asked, though I already felt I shouldn't. Clara looked forward again, and after a long moment she whispered, because they know what happens next. The rain intensified, the vipers struggled, and the cold in the car deepened, spreading into my chest like something settling in. I forced a laugh that sounded wrong even to me. What happens next? Clara didn't answer immediately, and softly, you take me home. Pause. And then her fingers tightened in her lap. You remember me. The road ahead seemed to narrow, the darkness pressing closer. I realized I had no idea where we were going, no address, no exit number, just her quiet certainty beside me, guiding the night like it belonged to her. I swallowed hard. Clara, I said carefully, where is your home? Her head tilted slightly, and when she spoke, her voice was almost tender. It's where the road ends. I should have pulled over. That's what a sensible person would do. Stop the car, ask her to get out, call someone, do anything except continue down an empty highway with a stranger whose voice sounded like a memory. But the truth is, I didn't feel in control anymore. It wasn't hypnosis. It wasn't magic. It was something simpler and worse, a quiet inevitability. Clara sat beside me like she'd always been there, like the passenger seat had been waiting for her long before tonight. The road curved again, deeper into the woods, and she lifted her hand. Here, she said. I blinked. Here? Yes. There was nothing, no streetlights, no houses, no driveway. Just trees and rain and the shoulder disappearing into darkness. I don't see anything, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. You won't, she replied. Her calmness was unbearable. I slowed anyway, scanning the roadside, my headlights searching for a sign, a mailbox, anything that proved this was a real place. Then I saw it, a marker. A small reflective sign half bent near the ditch. The name on it was faded, almost unreadable, but the shape of the letters made my throat tighten because I recognized it. Not from a map, from earlier. We had passed this exact spot. I knew we had. I remembered the way the trees leaned, the broken fence, the curve of the road. A cold pulse ran through me. Clara, I said slowly, we already came by here. She didn't look at me. No, she whispered. Her voice softened. You came by here. This distinction landed like a stone. The rain eased for a moment, thinning just enough that the woods beyond the shoulder became visible in layers, black trunks, tangled branches, mist hanging low. Clara pointed again. There, she said. I followed her gesture. At first, I thought she meant deeper into the trees. Then I saw it. A narrow path, not a road, not even a proper trail. Just a break in the brush, as if something had passed through often enough to part the board slightly. My headlights caught something pale beyond it. Stone. A low wall. My stomach tightened. Is that a house? I asked. Clara's voice was barely audible. It used to be. The car idled at the edge of the path. The engine sounded too loud, too alive. I stared into the woods, feeling the urge to reverse immediately, but Clara didn't move. She sat with her hands folded, waiting. I realized then that she wasn't asking. She was directing. I can't drive in there, I said quickly. It's not a road. Clara turned her head toward me. Her eyes looked darker now, as if the night had poured into them. You don't have to drive, I paused. You just have to stop. My thought went dry. Stop. The word carried too much meaning. I think I should take you out somewhere else, I managed. A police station, a diner, somewhere with people. Clara's lips parted slightly. For the first time, something like emotion flickered across her face. Not fear, not anger, something older. Sadness, maybe. They won't see me, she said. The sentence chilled me more than the cold ever could. What do you mean? I whispered. Clara looked forward again. Most people don't stop anymore, she repeated. And when they do, her fingers tightened, they don't forget. The fog thickened behind us, creeping closer, swallowing the highway in silence. The world outside the headlights felt erased. I glanced in the rearview mirror. Nothing. Just white mist pressing up like a wall. My heart hammered. We should go, I said. Clara's voice softened, almost gentle. You already did. I froze. What? She turned slowly, meeting my eyes fully now, and in that moment I understood something without knowing how. I had been on this road before, not tonight, before, years ago, maybe. A night I didn't keep, a story I'd heard and dismissed, a warning I'd forgotten. Clara's voice was barely a breath. You picked me up once. My blood went cold. No, I said immediately. No, I didn't. Clara's gaze didn't waver. Yes, she whispered, and you drove away. The rain began again, harder. The path into the woods seemed darker, deeper, waiting. Clara's hand lifted, pointing gently. This time, her voice trembled just slightly. Please don't leave me. The words hung in the car like a plea from somewhere that wasn't fully alive, and I realized with sick clarity I wasn't meeting her. I was returning to her. I couldn't breathe properly. My lungs worked, yes, but the air felt thin, like the car had climbed into a higher altitude without moving. The windshield fogged at the edges, and no matter how high I turned the heater, the cold stayed pinned to the passenger seat. Clara's words repeated in my skull. You picked me up once. I shook my head hard, as if I could dislodge them. That's not possible, I said. I've never been here before. Clara didn't argue. She just watched the path into the woods as if listening to something beyond it. Then she spoke softly. People always say that. My throat tightened. Say what? That they've never been here. Pause. But the road doesn't care what you remember. The rain tapped faster against the roof like impatient fingers. The fog behind us thickened until the highway felt like it had been erased entirely. I tried to reverse. My hand moved to the gear shift. Clara's voice stopped me. Don't. It wasn't loud. It wasn't commanding. It was final. I froze. My fingers hovered. Why? I whispered. Clara turned her head slowly toward me. Because you'll look back. The words made no sense at first. Then my eyes flicked instinctively to the rearview mirror. My stomach dropped. The fog wasn't empty anymore. There was a shape inside it. Not a car, not a person standing clearly. Something vertical, faint, like a smear of darkness in whiteness. Watching. I blinked hard. The shape remained. My pulse thundered. What is that? I breathed. Clara's voice softened, almost pitying. That's why people don't stop. I swallowed. Clara, I said, forcing steadiness. Tell me what happened. For the first time, she hesitated. Her fingers moved in her lap, tracing something invisible. Then she spoke. I was walking. Her voice was distant now, not here in the car, but somewhere else, somewhere trapped. It was cold. My shoes were wet. I'd been fighting with someone. I don't even remember what about. A pause. I just remember leaving. The rain seemed to fade as she spoke, like the night itself leaned closer to listen. I thought I could make it to the next town. I thought someone would stop. Her eyes lifted slightly, reflecting nothing. They did. My skin prickled. A man, she continued. He pulled over. He asked if I needed help. I didn't move. I didn't blink. He let me in. The car got cold. Her voice tightened, faintly. He asked where I lived. The fog pressed harder against the windows. I told him, just like I told you. A pause. He drove too fast. My stomach twisted. Too fast for the rain. Clara's breath trembled. I told him, slow down. Her eyes flicked toward me, sharp now. He didn't. Silence. The kind of silence that isn't empty but packed with something waiting. Then, I remembered the headlights catching the curve too late. Her voice dropped. The scream of tires. Her fingers clenched. And then, she swallowed. Weightlessness. My chest felt tight. What happened to you? I whispered. Clara didn't answer immediately. Then she said, so softly I almost didn't hear, I never got home. The words landed like a coffin closing. I stared at her, horror blooming slowly, terribly. You are, I began. Clara's gaze held mine. Do you know what it feels like? She asked. To be almost there, to see the lights of home in your mind, and then, her voice cracked faintly. Nothing. The fog outside pulsed. That shape in the mirror felt closer now, as if listening too. Clara's voice became a whisper. The road keeps it. What? The road keeps the moment, she said, the unfinished part. My mouth went dry. You're saying... I'm saying, Clara interrupted gently, that some roads don't let you leave. My hands shook on the wheel. This is insane, I whispered. This is... Clara's eyes narrowed slightly. Do you think I want this? The question hurt more than fear. I just want to go home, she said. The car felt impossibly still, like the world had paused around us. And every time someone stops, her voice trembled. I try again. The fog pressed against the windshield. The shape in the mirror shifted. Closer. Waiting. Clara leaned slightly toward me, her voice barely audible now. Please. Her eyes looked endless. Don't drive away again. And in that moment, I realized the true trap. If I stayed, I didn't know what would happen. If I left, I might never stop hearing her voice. The road would remember, and it would bring me back. For a long time, we just sat there. The engine idled, a small living sound in a dead stretch of night. Rain fell in sheets, but it felt distant now, like weather belonged to another world. Inside the car, everything was held in suspension. Clara's story hadn't ended. It had circled back. I kept staring at her hands folded neatly in her lap, trying to convince myself she was only a stranded girl, only a coincidence, only a bad night. But the cold told the truth. The fog told the truth. And the shape behind us in the mirror, that told the truth most of all. I swallowed hard. Clara, I said quietly, what do you want me to do? Her eyes lifted. For the first time, she looked almost relieved, not happy, not comforted, just relieved that I'd finally asked the right question. I need you to take me, she whispered. My throat tightened. Home? She nodded once, not toward the highway, toward the path in the woods. My stomach dropped. "That's not," I began. Clara's voice cut through gently. "It's close." I shook my head, panic creeping in. "Clara, I can't drive into the woods. There's nothing there. You said it used to be." "It's still there," she whispered. "Just not the way you mean." The fog pressed against the windows like breath. I glanced again at the rearview mirror. The shape was clearer now, tall, still. A presence that didn't belong to rain or mist, watching, waiting. My voice came out raw. "What is that?" Clara didn't look back. "That's why I never make it alone." My skin crawled. "You're saying it follows you?" "It keeps me," she corrected softly. A pause, and "it keeps the ones who stop." The words turned the inside of my chest to ice. "No," I whispered. "No, I'm not." Clara turned toward me fully. Her face was pale. Yes, but not monstrous. Just unbearably human. "Do you know what terrified me most?" She looked like someone who had been waiting too long. "I don't want to hurt you," she said. "I don't want anyone else to stop." Her voice trembled faintly, like a radio signal losing strength. "But it won't let me go unless someone finishes it." "Finishes what?" I breathed. Clara's lips parted. The ride. Silence. The rain hammered harder. I felt the weight of the road around us, the way the darkness seemed to lean inward. I shook my head again, desperately. "This is insane. Clara, you're asking me to drive into the woods and—" "I'm asking you to see it," she whispered. Her eyes glistened, though no tears fell. "I'm asking you to take me to where it happened." My heart pounded so hard it hurt. "Why?" I choked out. Clara's voice became almost inaudible. "Because I'm still there." The sentence landed like a blade. I stared at her, unable to process it. Still there. Not metaphorically, not emotionally. Physically. A girl frozen in a moment the road refused to release. Clara leaned closer, the cold intensifying. "Please," she said. "If you leave, you'll come back." Her gaze locked onto mine. "You already did." A shiver tore through me. Outside, the fog pulsed again, and the shape behind us seemed nearer, as if patience was running out. Clara whispered, urgent now, "Just take me to the curve." "The curve?" I echoed. She nodded. "The place where the headlights caught it too late." My hands shook. I didn't want to. Every instinct screamed not to. But the road behind us was gone. The fog was a wall. And the presence in it felt like a hand resting on the trunk of my car. Waiting. Clara's voice softened again, almost tender. "One last ride," she whispered. "One last stop." And then, her eyes flickered like a candle in wind. "I can go home." I stared at the path into the woods. The darkness between the trees looked deeper than it should. Not empty, occupied. And I realized with sick certainty, this wasn't about helping a hitchhiker. This was about completing something unfinished, something the road had kept alive by refusing to let it end. My fingers tightened on the steering wheel. The engine hummed. The fog pressed closer. Clara waited. I don't remember deciding. That's what haunts me most. There wasn't a moment where I said, "Yes, I'll do it." There wasn't some brave choice, some clean surrender. There was only the feeling that the night had narrowed, that the options had been taken away one by one until all that remained was forward. My foot pressed the gas. The tires rolled. Gravel hissed beneath us as the car eased off the highway and toward the break in the trees. The path wasn't wide enough to be real. Branches scraped the sides, thin and sharp, like fingernails testing metal. The headlights caught trunks too close, the world shrinking into a tunnel of wet bark and mist. Clara sat perfectly still. She didn't guide me with gestures. She didn't need to. It was as if the road already knew where to go. The fog followed, not drifting, tracking. It slipped between the trees behind us, filling the space we left, erasing the path like a hand something over footprints. I swallowed hard. "Clara," I whispered, "how far is it?" Her voice came softly, "Not far." Always that answer. Never far, never safe. The trees opened slightly, and then the curve. Even in the woods, even without pavement, I recognized it instantly. A bend too sharp, too sudden, like the world had folded wrong there. The headlights struck something pale on the ground. Stone. A broken barrier half swallowed by moss. My chest tightened. This wasn't just a place. It was a remembered impact. The air changed. The cold became sharper, almost metallic, and the pressure returned. The same pressure I'd felt the moment I stopped for her on the shoulder. Clara's hands tightened in her lap. "This is it," she whispered. I braked. The car stopped just before the curve. Rain fell through the branches above, dripping in slow. For a moment, there was only the engine ticking and my own breath shaking. Then Clara spoke again, turned the lights off. I stared at her. "What?" Her head turned slowly toward me. "Please." My pulse hammered. "No," I said immediately. "No. I need the lights. I can't." Clara's voice softened. "It's the only way you'll see." A sick feeling crawled up my spine. Behind us, the fog pressed close between the trees. I could feel it, like an audience, like breath against the back of my neck. My hand moved, trembling. I turned the headlights off. Darkness swallowed the world. For a second, I thought I had gone blind. Then my eyes adjusted, and I saw it, not with light, with absence. A shape at the curve, something wrong in the dark, like a piece of night that didn't belong to the rest. Tall, still, watching. The same presence from the rearview mirror, now ahead of us. My throat closed. Clara's voice was barely a whisper. "It's here." I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The shape did not approach. It didn't need to. It simply existed, filling the space with pressure. Then, a sound, not footsteps, not rustling. A soft scraping like something dragging across stone. Clara inhaled sharply. "It remembers," she whispered. My voice came out broken. "What is it?" Clara's head tilted slightly. "The road," she said. "And what the road keeps." The darkness pulsed, and suddenly, the air filled with something else. Not fog, not rain. A smell. Iron, old metal, and underneath it, something sweet, rotting. My stomach lurched. I wanted to turn the car on, slam the gas, crash through the trees if I had to, but Clara's hand lifted slowly, pointing. Not at the shape, at the ground beside the curve. My eyes followed, and there, half buried in leaves and mud, was something pale, a piece of fabric, a dress. My stomach turned to ice. Clara's voice broke, the first real fracture in her calm. "That's mine." Silence. The curve held its breath. Then, from the darkness beyond the shape, a faint sound. Not a hiss, not a voice. A whisper of tires, screaming. A crash that wasn't happening now but was happening forever. The moment replaying. The road refusing to let it die. Clara turned toward me, eyes shining with something unbearable. "You have to stop here," she whispered. "You have to finish it." My hands shook violently. "How?" I choked out. Clara's lips parted, and for the first time, her voice was not an echo. It was a plea. "Open the door." The pressure surged. The darkness leaned closer. The curve waited, and I realized this was the point no one ever talks about. The part of the legend that isn't a story. It's a choice. My hand won't move. It hovered inches above the latch, trembling so hard I could feel it in my teeth. Outside, the darkness pressed close, thick as fabric. The curve waited like a mouth held open. The rain had softened into slow dripping, each drop a counted second. Clara sat beside me, perfectly still. Her face was pale in the dim interior, but her eyes were alive with urgency. "Please," she whispered again. "Open the door." I swallowed. My throat felt scraped raw. "Clara," I said, voice breaking. "What happens if I do?" She stared at me, and the pause before she answered felt like this last space a person gets before something changes forever. Then she said, softly, "I get out." A chill ran through me, and then I forced out. Clara's lips parted, and then, "It can't keep me anymore." The pressure in the air surged, as if the darkness outside disliked hearing that. My breath fogged in front of my face. I looked toward the curve. That shape was still there, tall, motionless, a wrongness in the dark. Not a monster with claws, not an alien. Something worse. A presence that didn't need a body to take up space. It was the moment itself, the unfinished impact, the road's memory given form. My fingers finally closed around the latch. The click was impossibly loud. Clara flinched. Outside, something shifted, not closer, just aware. I pulled. The passenger door creaked open. Cold air poured in like water from a broken dam. The smell of iron hit so hard I gagged. Clara didn't move immediately. She stared out into the darkness beyond the open door. Her voice was barely audible. I never got to step out. A tremor ran through her. I never got to leave the car. The words sank into me slowly, horribly. This wasn't about being dropped off. This was about being released from a loop. Clara's hands unfolded in her lap. She placed one foot carefully onto the wet ground. The moment she did, the pressure spiked so violently my ears rang. The shape at the curve seemed to darken, deepening like a shadow gaining weight. Clara stood. For the first time, she looked unsteady, like a photograph trying to become real. Rain touched her hair now, finally, dripping from the ends. She turned back toward me. Her eyes held something I will never forget. Not fear, not anger, gratitude, and sorrow so deep it felt ancient. "Thank you," she whispered. Then she stepped away from the car, toward the curve, toward the place where the dress lay half buried, toward the darkness that had been waiting longer than I had been alive. My hands clenched on the steering wheel. "Clara," I called, voice shaking. "Wait, what do I do?" She didn't stop. She only spoke over her shoulder, voice fading. "Don't look away." The fog trembled. The shape moved for the first time, not walking, unfolding, like night stretching. The air filled with the sound of tires screaming again. Phantom sound, impossible sound. The crash replaying without happening. Clara reached the curve. She knelt slowly beside the pale fabric. Her fingers brushed it. And the moment she touched it, everything stopped. No rain, no engine hum, no breathe. Silence, so complete it felt like the world had been unplugged. Clara's head lifted. She looked straight into the darkness. And she spoke, voice steady now. "I am here." The shape responded, not with words, with weight. The fog rushed forward, swallowing the curve, swallowing her outline. I surged forward instinctively, reaching. No. But my hand grabbed nothing, only cold air, only mist, only absence. Then, a sound beside me, a soft exhale. I froze. Slowly, mechanically, I turned my head back toward the passenger seat. It was empty. No Clara, no pale dress, no folded hands, just the indentation in the fabric, slowly rising back to normal. But something else was there. A dampness, a faint smear of the mud on the seat, proof that someone had sat there, proof that I wasn't insane. My breathing came in ragged gasps. The fog outside began to thin, retreating like a tide. The shape at the curve dissolved with it, fading into nothingness. The rain resumed. The engine ticked. Time restarted, and I realized she was gone. Released or taken. I don't know which. All I knew was the passenger seat was empty, and I had never felt so washed in my life. I didn't move for a long time. The passenger door was still open, letting the night pour into the car. Rain fell steadily again, ordinary in sound but not in feeling. Nothing about it felt ordinary anymore. The curve ahead was just a curve now. Trees, mud, darkness, no shape, no pressure. As if the road had swallowed its own secret and returned to pretending. My hands were locked around the steering wheel so tightly my fingers ached. The seat behind me was empty. I kept staring at it, waiting for the fabric to dip again, waiting for cold breath, waiting for her voice to return like static. But there was nothing. Only the faint smear of mud, only the lingering metallic smell, only the knowledge that something had been completed or consumed. Finally, I forced myself to move. I leaned across, pulled the passenger door shut. The thud echoed through the car like a coffin lid. I turned the key. The engine came alive too quickly, too eagerly, as if it wanted to get away. Headlights flared back on, washing the trees in pale light. The curve looked harmless. That was the worst part. I put the car in reverse. The tires slipped in mud, then caught. I backed away slowly, branches scraping the sides again, guiding me out like fingers releasing. The fog was thinner now. The highway reappeared, wet and reflective, as if it had never vanished, as if the night had never bent. I pulled back onto the road, and drove. I didn't look in the rearview mirror. I couldn't. The miles passed in silence. No radio, no music, only the vipers and my own breath. The cold began to lift gradually, like something loosening its grip. I told myself it was over, that Clara was free, that the road had finally let her go, that I would go home and never speak of it again. Then I saw the sign, a reflective marker on the roadside, familiar. My stomach dropped before my mind caught up. The same bent post, the same faded lettering, the same trees leaning inward. No, that wasn't possible. I kept driving. The road curved gently, and there it was again, the marker, the same one. My pulse exploded. I pressed the gas harder, heart hammering. The highway stretched ahead, empty, too empty, like a hallway repeating in a dream. Then the fog returned, not behind me, ahead. A low, pale curtain rolling across the asphalt. My breath caught. The car slowed involuntarily, as if the road itself was gripping the tires. "No," I whispered. "No, no, no." The fog thickened, and then, in the reach of my headlights, a figure appeared on the shoulder, standing perfectly still, pale dress, dark hair. My blood went ice cold. Clara. It couldn't be. I had let her out. I had watched her vanish. I had. The figure lifted its head, and I saw the face. Not Clara. Not human. Something wrong. Too smooth. Too blank. Like a memory wearing the shape of a person. The car jerked as if I slammed the brakes. The tires screamed. For a fraction of a second, the world tilted, and I understood. This was the moment. The crash. The curve. The loop closing its teeth. A sound filled the air, not from outside, from inside my skull. Clara's voice, faint as a dying signal. "Don't look away." The figure on the shoulder didn't move, didn't wave. It only waited, patient, certain, as if it knew I would stop, as if the road always gets what it wants. My hands shook violently. I couldn't breathe. The fog pressed against the windshield, and the passenger seat beside me. The fabric creaked softly, as if something had just sat down. I could barely move. The figure on the shoulder didn't shift, didn't blink, didn't breathe, or if it did, it was perfectly synchronized with the pulse of my road itself. My hands were frozen on the wheel. My heart thrashed like a bird trapped in my chest. I wanted to scream, to reverse, to disappear, but I knew better. The road doesn't allow panic. It waits for attention. It waits for acknowledgement. And then I noticed it. The passenger seat. The fabric shifted slightly, just a dip, a subtle movement that would have been meaningless anywhere else. But here, in the still, fog-heavy night, it was a warning. Something had returned. Clara, or what I thought was Clara, was no longer beside me in the conventional sense. Something sat there now, unseen, weightless, pressing down just enough to make the car sag imperceptibly. The engine ticked and groaned. The vipers shuddered. The fog rolled in, swallowing the road ahead and curling its fingers around the headlights. And then I heard it. A whisper, soft but chilling, directly in my ear. "Drive." I choked. My voice came out strangled. "What? Who?" "Drive," it repeated, "or stay. Either way, you'll return." The air grew colder, sharper, as if it had teeth. The shape on the shoulder blurred, folding in and out of existence, a pale outline of someone who had never been alive and yet carried every human memory with them. I realized then it wasn't Clara anymore. It was the road itself. The moment she had been trapped in, replaying endlessly, had somehow attached itself to me. Every time someone stops, someone notices, someone cares, it feeds the loop. I pressed the brakes slightly, instinct screaming, "Stop, I won't." But the road wouldn't let me stop. The Viper's bane beat against the windshield with frantic rhythm. The headlights flickered and I could swear the figure leaned closer, smiling just enough to remind me it knew the truth. The road always gets what it wants. The whisper came again, softer this time, almost coaxing, "Bring me home." I swallowed hard. The words echoed in my chest. I knew what it meant, even if I didn't want to. The curve loomed closer. The same curve, the same stone barrier half swallowed by moss, the same memories pressed into the asphalt like teeth marks. My hand moved, trembling, toward the gear shift. I knew I had no choice. The road had already decided. The figure on the shoulder shifted slightly as I accelerated toward the curve, not walking, not running, moving with the rhythm of the road. The car tilted. The tires screeched. Rain stung my face through the open window. And then it happened. Something cold brushed my arm, not tangible, not fully solid, but real enough to make my blood freeze. The road hummed, the fog thickened, the curve stretched longer than it should have, bending in impossible ways, pulling the headlights into itself like a living eye. I understood. The Phantom Hitchhiker isn't a girl. It's the unfinished, the unresolved, the weight of every stopped car, every compassionate driver who didn't know the rules, every person who ever thought they were helping. It isn't alive, not in the way we are. It's eternal. It waits and it rides with you. The curve loomed ahead like a predator, impossibly long and impossibly dark. My hands gripped the wheel until the knuckles turned white. The tires screamed over wet asphalt, but it didn't matter. The car wasn't mine anymore. It wasn't driving. I was being guided, pulled, compelled. The shape on the shoulder moved in perfect tandem with the car, not walking, not running, just shifting with the inevitability of time itself. It leaned closer, stretching the night like it had patience for centuries. I could feel its presence in the passenger seat, a weightless pressure that pushed against my ribs, my spine, my heartbeat. "Drive," it whispered again, right into my skull this time, bypassing ears altogether. I obeyed. The curve approached faster than physics should allow. Trees pressed inward, rain lashed the windshield, fog rolled in thick, curtains swallowing the headlights, but there, just at the apex of the bend, I saw it. The moment replayed in impossible clarity, the impact, the screech of metal, the shattering of life, and yet, here I was, reliving it in the darkness, feeling it as if it were my own heartbeat. The curve wanted me to remember, wanted me to understand, wanted me to participate. Clara, or whatever remained of her, rose slightly in the passenger seat, not solid, not flesh, but undeniably there. Her eyes were deep, infinite, and filled with everything that had ever happened at this curve. The road had made her eternal, a witness bound to the unfinished. "Look," she whispered. I did. The headlights revealed the aftermath. twisted metal that shouldn't exist, an empty space where someone should have been, the faint imprint of a human shape in mud and leaves, and then, impossibly, the ghostly shimmer of her body, as if the road had pressed the moment into a memory I could not escape. I tried to breathe, tried to process, tried to drive past it, but the curve had me. The road had me. "You remember now," the voice said, and I did. Every detail, every heartbeat, every choice, every stop that could have ended it, every compassion that had fed the loop. The Phantom Hitchhiker wasn't seeking kindness. She or it was seeking. The road didn't want her gone. It wanted her moment completed. My moment. Our moments. The tires squealed. The car slid. The fog closed in, and for one terrifying, weightless second, I understood the truth. There is no normal ending on this curve. There is only participation, only recognition, only the road claiming its due. And then, everything went wide. The world snapped back slowly. Rain, wet asphalt, trees pressing their skeletal limbs against the sky. The car hummed like nothing had happened, but nothing was the farthest thing from true. The passenger seat was empty again, completely empty. I stared. My hands shook, gripping the wheel until the skin ached. My breath came in ragged bursts. I wanted to check behind me to see if the figure had returned, but I dared not. The rearview mirror felt like a trap, a portal to something that would never let go. Yet the presence remained. It lingered in the car, faint but unmistakable. Cold air that wasn't cold, a subtle pressure in my chest, the quiet certainty that the road had not released me from this night. I tried to convince myself it was over. It was past the curve. Clara was gone, or whatever she had become. I could drive home. I could sleep. I could pretend. But the road doesn't forgive pretending. The headlights caught a glint near the shoulder, a piece of fabric, mud-stained, half buried in leaves, the same dress I had seen earlier. I swallowed. My stomach twisted. It wasn't Clara, not really, but it was proof that something from that night, from that crash, had been carried forward. A fragment, a tether, a signal that the road had been washed and would be again. I drove slowly now, the engine low and humming. Every shadow between the trees seemed alive. Every drip of rain sounded deliberate, counting seconds, measuring me. The highway stretched out ahead, empty, yet I felt watched, not from behind, not just ahead, all around. I realized then that the Phantom Hitchhiker isn't merely a ghost story. She is a collector. The road is a collector. It doesn't seek souls for cruelty. It seeks closure. And anyone who stops, anyone who notices, anyone who cares, becomes part of the loop. I understood it fully in that quiet moment, the weight pressing against my chest. The road never forgets. The road never forgives. And the moment you encounter it, you are never truly alone again. Even after miles, even after leaving, I could still feel her presence, the faint pressure of a hand that never touches, a whisper that never speaks, a reminder that some roads never let go of you. The Phantom Hitchhiker isn't the girl. She is the memory. She is the curve. She is the road itself, and the road always remembers. I drove. Miles stretched ahead, endless, slick with rain, reflecting every light as though the highway itself had a pulse. The weight beside me was gone, or perhaps it had never been solid at all. The car hummed beneath me, ordinary again, almost peaceful, but I knew better. The road had released Clara, or whatever she had become, but it had not released me. Every bend reminded me of her whisper. Every shadow suggested her presence. Every distant curve replayed that impossible moment when the headlights revealed the frozen impact, the half-buried dress, the figure that should never have existed. I tried to tell myself it was over, that the loop was broken, that driving forward meant leaving the story behind, but the truth was far darker. The Phantom Hitchhiker had never needed a car. She needed witnesses. She needed someone who stopped, someone who saw, someone who remembered. That's why she exists at the edge of the road, why she waits beside the asphalt in the fog and rain, because without someone to carry the memory, the curve is meaningless. And now I carry it. I can feel it in the passenger seat every time I drive alone. A subtle pressure, a faint chill, the whisper certainty that the road never forgets, that it will remember me next time. The curve, that it will wait. At home, the lights feel too bright, the room too warm. I hear it in quiet moments, the faint brush of movement, the whisper of tires, the soft voice saying, "Don't look away." I've tried to explain it, tried to tell others. Nobody believes. They call it a story, a legend, a hallucination, a trick of fog and rain, but I know the truth. Some roads are alive. Some roads remember every stop, every glance, every gesture. The Phantom Hitchhiker isn't gone. She rides with you. She rides with me. And when I drive at night, when the fog falls, when the asphalt glistens under headlights, I feel her there, waiting, patient, eternal. And the road remembers, always. The car idles, the night stretches, and somewhere, far ahead, the curve waits for the next witness.